Hello there, thank you so much for stopping by and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster where we are working on the Super Mario Super Theme Park. Today we're continuing the Princess Peach's castle build and we will start working on the Odyssey station for the castle. A little bit of recording was done off camera because I was trying really hard to make both of these bridge sections to the castle where you can see through to see the Odyssey attraction symmetrical. You can see a little bit of the struggle in this episode, but I tried to record most of it off camera because I was just like, oh, it's not perfectly symmetrical. This is driving me crazy. I wish there was a mirror function in this game so much sometimes. That would make building so much easier. Or I could just be smart ahead of time and build things more universally so that I could put one side on the other and it doesn't really matter. But you know, I didn't think that one through too much. There was actually a question from a previous member of the Discord. Unfortunately, they have left the Discord since then, but one of the questions was, do I ever plan out my parks on paper, or do I just jump in? And the question is yes and no. Sometimes I think about it beforehand and I actually draw it out. A good example of that was the Pokemon Pikachu Dark Ride. I actually planned that out, all the different sections, but more often than not, I have a general idea and then I just go for it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So there are some days where I go to record something and I'm trying to build something and it's just not working out. And I decide to kind of scrap it and try it all over again. And it's kind of, I feel the pressure sometimes when I'm recording it, whether it be for Planet Coaster or more often I felt it when I was drawing or doing a speed paint or a speed animate on my main channel. It felt so much pressure to get it right because there's a lot of times where I just kind of go back and forth on an idea and you kind of have to like draw, for me at least, I'll draw it and be like, I thought that would work, but now that I actually drew it or now that I actually animated it, it didn't work. So then I have to roll back and try again, which you'll sometimes see me do that process on Planet Coaster. I'll start building something and I'll be like, no, that doesn't quite work, or I thought I had a piece that would go there, but it doesn't actually work there. And so I try my best to kind of have at least make it seem that I have a general idea of what I'm trying to do. But there are some times where I'm winging it and hoping for the best, but I do try to have at least somewhat of an idea. And not just go into something completely blind. For example, I am working on a new Planet Coaster project, which some people have been guessing at. It is another video game franchise, but I wanted to do a couple of tests beforehand before I committed to the idea, because I definitely wanted to have a game plan going in. And sometimes it's one of the reasons why I only build things that I really enjoy, because you have to have inspiration in order to do it. At least for me, I have to have inspiration. I can't just build something that I don't really have any sort of emotional connection to, because this game takes up a lot of time for the recording process, the editing process, and just playing the game in general. So I want to be able to enjoy what I'm building. And because I only have so much time in the day to do so, I want to make sure that it's something that I can do without being like, oh, I got to record a Planet Coaster episode. Oh, woe is me type of thing. I want to be able, yeah, I have time to record a Planet Coaster episode. Let's do it. And so I do feel, to be quite honest, I do feel a little bit of both of those with this current project, because I'm like, yeah, Mario, but I'm also like, I'm running out of things about Mario to talk about. So I hope you all don't mind when I trail off in conversations, because I'm like, what more can I say about Mario? I do actually have something I could say about Mario. My girlfriend and I are playing the new, what is it called? The new Super Mario Wii U Deluxe. Their naming conventions are getting crazy. I think Final Fantasy's naming conventions are starting to make more sense than Mario naming conventions at this point, because they keep re-releasing old games on the Switch and not just calling it Switch, but they have to keep the Wii U title, which I don't know why. That's just confusing to most consumers. Like, why is it called the Wii U? Do I need to get a Wii U? No, it plays on the Switch. Well, then why call it a Wii U title? Or at least have the Wii U in its title. That's confusing. But we have been playing that game, and it's fun. I'll start with that. It's very fun, but it quickly turns into blaming each other for everything kind of game, because it's so easy to mess up the other player, because your collision can just really get problematic, especially when you are on really small platforms and you're trying your best not to jump on the other person's head or grab an item by accident. I can't tell you how many times I'll hit a question block and then try to avoid an item only to accidentally get it when the other person needed the item, or when we're doing like a really tough part where we have to collect all the coins in time, but it's on a really narrow platform, and maybe the platform's covered in ice, so you're sliding everywhere and you're accidentally jumping on each other's heads. It's problematic. It's still fun, but gosh darn it, sometimes I'm just like, can we turn friendly fire off? Like, I feel like that should be an option, because the collision works great when you want it to, because you can pick up the other character or assist them, but when you're just trying to run on some difficult platforming sections, gosh darn can it be problematic. But it's a really fun game. I also want to get the Yoshi game that came out not too long ago. Its art style is absolutely adorable. That handcrafted style is just great. And I think that was also another previous Nintendo title that they're bringing onto the Switch. Maybe it's a sequel? I don't know. Maybe it's like a pseudo sequel where they've added a couple of new levels. I'm not sure. I didn't play the previous one of it, so I wouldn't know, but I definitely want to get it because I love Yoshi games. Like the first one I played was actually, I didn't play the one that was on the Super Nintendo, because when I was a kid I didn't have a Super Nintendo, so I didn't play that Yoshi's Island, I think it was called, but I did play Yoshi's Story on the N64, which I think gets kind of a bad rap. I actually really enjoy that game, all except for the last boss fight, because even as a kid I thought that boss fight was kind of cheesy, because there really wasn't any particular threat, because the tree of life-giving fruit was right there, so if you were low on health you could just use that, and really the rest of it was super easy. But I always thought it was really cool because they had the white Yoshi and the black Yoshi that were able to eat the things that the regular Yoshis weren't able to. So I didn't even know like you could unlock those until like way later owning the game, because like for me N64 was the following: Star Fox 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Yoshi's Story, GoldenEye I would definitely have to throw in there, and Mario 64, and there was another one that I was remembering not too long ago that was like such a throwback from the past. Oh, Gex, the Gecko, Enter the Gecko. That game was so bizarre. I remember you would go into other worlds where they were based off of movies. Like there was a Titanic level, I think. You were like a secret agent gecko. I don't know, it was weird. And I brought my N64 to work because during lunch break sometimes we'll be able to play like a round or two of old N64 Smash Brothers, which I still have a lot. Like, it is a testament to that game that the old N64 version of it is still super fun to play. But we tried to play Diddy Kong Racing, which as a kid I remember absolutely loving the heck out of that game. But I was playing it with my coworker and we both looked at each other like, this isn't that fun. Like Mario Kart's way more fun than this. And I was like, I am betraying the Diddy Kong legacy. I loved that game. And I think what it was is that the single player mode was a lot of fun to play because it was almost like a pseudo story mode. And maybe that's why I enjoyed it so much, because I didn't play a lot of multiplayer of it. I just played the single player because I didn't have any siblings growing up. I didn't have any siblings till much later in life, so I always played single player games for the most part. And when I went over to friends' house, we were always playing like GoldenEye or something more like that. Smash Brothers for sure, when that came out, we were all about that. But I didn't ever play Diddy Kong Racing with anybody, so I always played the single player, and I just remember having a lot of fun with it. So I was really surprised we're playing the multiplayer. I'm like, this isn't as fun as I remember. What's going on here? So the N64 was definitely like the childhood experience. I have so many good memories of that console, and the Switch is bringing back a lot of those memories and being able to play kind of like retellings of older games that came out on the previous generation. And like I said, I hope they continue to bring out some of the games, especially, I think in the last episode I mentioned Super Mario 3D World. I love that game. That game is so much darn fun. I played it on the old channel that I used to be on called the Super Geek Friends with my friend Caitlin. We played that game, I think maybe like 20, 30 episodes worth, and it was... I can't remember having that much fun playing a co-op game that wasn't like Mario Party or Smash Brothers or something like that. Or even, I would even throw Halo in the mix. I remember back in the day, and this is really going to date me, but I remember back in the day, we would do System Link parties where we would get multiple Xboxes together and we would play Halo from like sundown to sun up. You know, it was like one of those things, and it was so much fun. But just a couch co-op game, Mario 3D World is so much darn fun. It's such a well-designed game, and it blends that perfect aspect of platforming and 3D. It really feels natural for the most part. There's only a few times where I would feel that I would unfairly die, and a lot of it was just during the super tricky platforming sections, but I never really felt overly cheated in that game like I would say like Sonic, like a newer Sonic 3D game. I feel cheated a lot in those kind of games because mostly because either the control mechanics or the camera system, but 3D World just felt right, so I really hope they bring that back. And let's actually talk about today's episode in terms of the building process. As you can see, we've kind of linked up the track for the Odyssey People Mover attraction to loop around and go through the castle, and I'm really happy with how it's looking so far. I definitely want to add some more theming elements around the People Mover track, just so you have more to look at as you approach the castle. Maybe some characters, maybe some signage. I'm still thinking of ideas, but if you have any that you would like to share, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I'm reutilizing this very Mario 64 style fencing, and that helps kind of fill in the area as the track slowly goes uphill to reach the castle. But like I said, I still want to add a little bit more to this section. I think we should add some more characters in this area, some larger statues, and I think that'll help round it out. And we are actually at the end of today's episode. I want to thank you all so much for stopping by. I genuinely appreciate it. We will continue working on the Princess Peach's castle in the next episode. Thank you so much, and as always, I will chat with you later.